So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Adams. I'm the partner manager for Zoom. And today we're going to talk about video conferencing in learning and development. How you can improve the experience of your remote learners and your teachers to deliver better training to all your students and your colleagues. Does that sound like a plan, right? Now, we've all used video conferencing at some point in our life. And sometimes it doesn't work the way it should. We've been disappointed by a bad experience. When you do a video call, you do a training, you want to make sure it works perfectly. You want to make sure you don't have to worry about technical issues or bandwidth or laptops or cameras. It should just work with a single click, and you want to feel engaged with your audience. Is it a teacher or is it a learner? Right? So how do we change that around? How do we create that perfect meeting experience where you feel engaged even over a video call? Now the reality, there's loads and loads of tools out there. There's lots of technology on the market to make video calls. But the problem is lots of these tools don't work with each other. It's very complicated. It's different plugins and different apps. And let's say the teacher has one app and your customer is a different system and it doesn't work, it's not compatible, it doesn't connect, right? So how do we solve that challenge? And the idea is to have a universal meeting experience where basically it doesn't matter what the other person has in terms of technology. You as a meeting organizer, as a teacher, you send out a meeting invite, with one click people join. It works with everything, so you don't have to worry about what it is. What does it look like? It's a simple plugin for Outlook or Google Calendar. One click, send out the invite, job done. You don't have to worry about it anymore, it just works, right? So that's the dream. Now, many people already use Skype for Business, many businesses already use that, and you can join that same Zoom meeting from a Skype client as well. So you don't have to force your students or companies you work with to change what they already have today. Now, that video experience is not just about connecting one person to another like a FaceTime call, but it's more about engaging a whole audience of people where you feel like you're with them in the same room like we are right now. And for that, you need to be able to support large meetings. So meetings with more than 20 people, more than 30 people. With Zoom, you can connect up to 1,000 people on the same call where everyone can see each other, hear each other, show their face, share their presentation, annotate. I mean, that's a truly engaging experience for everyone in the audience. Now, you're probably not going to do trainings with 1,000 people every single day when you want to see everyone's face. But it can go up to there, right? So the beauty of this is you don't have to worry about the number of attendees because you always keep that engaging experience. Now you show up to 49 people on your screen. You can scroll from one screen to another and just click on someone's face to zoom them in if you want to really have them as your main presenter in the presentation, the meeting. But in some cases, you don't want to see everyone. If you're doing a big broadcast experience where you don't want people to see each other, for example, for privacy reasons, the other type of meeting is what we call webinars. So in a webinar experience, you've got one presenter and hundreds or even thousands of remote participants. You cannot see them, they cannot see each other, but they can all see you, right? So that's more of a webinar type experience where you basically broadcast your content. Now the beauty of Zoom is it's actually being used for both. The same Zoom app and user interface can be used both for meetings or for webinars, whether you want to see all the students' faces or you don't want to see their face, right? But then there's something in between, which is a webinar, and during the webinar, at any point in time, if someone wants to ask a question, as a moderator, as a teacher, you can click on their name to upgrade them to a moderator so everyone can see them when they ask a question. So then it becomes kind of in between a meeting and a webinar where you have that engaging experience where people can see each other. And in a webinar, you can have up to 10,000 people on the webinar, so that's truly scalable. Now, on the webinar, you can ask questions, a chat and a Q&A to engage your audience. You can also see if they're actually paying attention. There's an attention meter for every participant. So you know if they're paying attention based on whether they use Zoom as their most front-end app or they've got the web browser hiding the Zoom app on their desktop, for example. So you can really kind of gauge the attention of your audience. Now, if you want to go beyond 10,000 people, you're really very, very popular, your training is very popular, you can also stream it to YouTube or Facebook Live or Workplace by Facebook up to 1 billion people. Yes, 1 billion people. Wow. So this is really proper scale. You can do a meeting with 1,000 people, a webinar with 10,000, or a stream with 1 billion. Now, one way you can really improve that learning experience is to record your meetings. It means that if someone wasn't able to join the meeting, they're in a different time zone or not available, they can watch it afterwards. And my recommendation is to keep your trainings very short, like little nuggets of knowledge, like a 10-minute training instead of a 2-hour training, and do lots and lots of these short trainings, because that means your audience can then quickly watch those recordings as part of their learning experience. And the cool thing about it is transcription. So every recorded meeting is automatically transcribed into text with speech-to-text recognition. It means everything you say is written down automatically. So watch what you say. It's all written down, right? It's all there. There's evidence. But the cool thing about this, of course, it makes it searchable. So as a student, I can just type a keyword and find every time someone said that word, and I can play back the video. This is, again, great for content, for recorded content, for meeting content. So once you've got a library of content, you've got all these recorded trainings or meetings and webinars, you can then integrate that with your learning environment. There's lots of learning management tools, and Zoom is fully compatible with LTI, so learning technology interoperability. So you can integrate with Moodle or with Canvas. You've got all these learning management tools you probably already use, and all your recordings from Zoom integrate into that. Makes it really easy to manage that content and sell it even, make some extra money. Now, one way to engage your audience, this is really important in a video meeting, keep people engaged, is to do a survey or a poll. And that's built as a built-in functionality in a Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar. You can do a poll and ask your audience's opinion. And that makes them engaged, right? They have to do something, they have to click somewhere, right? To keep that engagement level. Another way to do it is to use what's called breakout rooms. So as the name implies, like in the real world, we can have breakout rooms where people split in smaller groups. You can do the same with a virtual meeting, with virtual breakout rooms. So imagine you're in a Zoom training with like 10 students, and now the teacher says, okay, now I want you to pair up in groups of 2 to work on this exercise for 3 minutes. So as a meeting organizer, as a moderator, I'll create 5 breakout rooms, and 2 people in each breakout room will now have their own mini video conference call, 2 by 2. And me as a teacher, I can join in one of the groups at any point in time, or send a message to all the groups, and then after 3 minutes, we can all rejoin together. So this breakout room feature is a game changer in training, in learning and development, because it makes it so much more engaging for students to be literally working in small groups. And this is part of the whole Zoom experience. Now, when we talk about Zoom, it's not just about people working remotely from home joining that training session. It's also about physical classrooms where the teacher is in front of a bunch of students and you want to bring remote students in as well, what we call blended learning, where it's physical people in front of you and remote students as well, right? Now, you want to have a great classroom, a great meeting experience. And the problem is most classrooms, most meeting rooms have really bad, poor AV technology. Bad microphones, bad speakers. It's very hard for the remote people to feel engaged. You can't hear them properly. They can't see you. So the idea is not just to work on that video stream on your laptop, but also to optimize the meeting room experience itself, the classroom experience. So Zoom has invented the next generation of meeting rooms called Zoom Rooms, where effectively the whole room experience is really simple. It's one single click to launch a meeting, a single click to invite remote students, and you feel like you're in the same room with them. Right? So the idea of a Zoom room is really to bring all the elements of a meeting room, whether it's audio, video, room scheduling and booking to book the room, and also content sharing. So the teacher can share the content with the class, right? Now, the idea of that Zoom room experience is not just for big classrooms. It's really for every type of meeting room, whether it's a small room for 3 or 4 people, a boardroom for 15 people, a training room for 200 people. In all these different types of rooms, you're going to need different hardware, different cameras and microphones and all that stuff. But what you do want as a teacher is to have a single user interface, a single meeting experience which is always consistent and easy to use, right? So Zoom Room is all about software. We work with pretty much any hardware out there, like cameras from Logitech or Polycom or Cisco or Aver. It doesn't really matter what brand it is. Zoom will work with it to create that user experience, to make it really simple for teachers to organize a classroom, right? Now the user interface, how do you actually manage that? When you walk into a classroom, how do you invite students? How do you join the meeting? How do you change the camera? That is really where we spend a lot of time and effort to make that simpler. So we designed this user interface to be teacher-proof or CEO-proof. Make it really simple. It's a single click to join, right? Make that experience as simple as possible. That's the revolution here. Now the biggest struggle we all have is how to share the presentation from your laptop to a projector. Has it ever happened to you, walk into a classroom and you can't connect your laptop to your projector, the screen? Yeah, I've got the wrong dongle, the wrong adapter, the button doesn't work, the projector is off. You know, we've all been there, right? You know what I'm talking about. So how do you solve that problem? So Zoom Room solves that by making it all wireless and as frictionless as possible. You walk into a room, click a single button, and your presentation just appears on the screen. With zero cables, zero configuration, no Wi-Fi settings, none of that. It's a single click. It literally detects the room automatically with ultrasounds. It's really cool. Now, one important aspect for a teacher is to walk into a room and press a single button. So the way to do that is when you schedule your meeting, you simply invite the room like any other student. So that means when you invite the room, you walk into the room, you've got your calendar of meetings or classes for the day, and the teacher just walks in and presses the start button. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. But you want that presentation to be engaging, to be interactive. So you can use any touchscreen on the market. There's lots of different brands of touchscreens like Samsung or LG or Smart, etc. And there's hundreds of those touchscreens out there. But the revolution here is to bring that touchscreen annotation feature with video conferencing. So your remote students feel that they can participate and they can annotate with you. So you can literally create a whiteboard and do like a game or a little interactive session. You ask all the remote students on their laptop, on their iPad, on their iPhone, on an Android device, doesn't matter what device it is, and they can actually annotate with you and you can collaborate together. Again, to make your classes more engaging. This is really important. Now, one way to improve that meeting room experience is to have more screens. If you look at a typical classroom or training room, usually would have 1 or 2 displays. But with a Zoom room, you can have up to 3 displays, which means that the students and the teacher can not only see the face of all the other students on the class, but also the presentation on a second screen. And you can use the third screen for a second presentation, for example, the agenda for the day or other information you want to share with your students. Or use that as the interactive whiteboard. So having more displays really increases that user experience. And for the teacher, it's a way to feel more engaged with the remote students as well as the students in the room, right? Now, one thing which is really important in designing your classrooms, your training rooms, is to have multiple cameras. So one camera facing the presenter, one camera facing the students or the other people in the room, and one camera facing the whiteboard, for example. Now, in traditional video conferencing systems, to have 3 cameras in the classroom would cost like £25,000. I mean, it costs a fortune to design these types of high-end systems. With a Zoom room, this costs nothing because effectively it's all USB cameras, and on the Zoom room interface, you just press a button, switch cameras. So this becomes trivial. It becomes normal for every classroom. That's why today 6,000 universities are using Zoom because of this reason. Every classroom now is using Zoom because we can support multiple cameras. Now, how do you design a good classroom, an auditorium? How do you design that? And the idea is really to look at what that configuration of room looks like. This is an all-hands room. We can look at a classroom where effectively you've got a camera facing the teacher, camera facing the students. You've got screens in the back so the students can see the content. You've got confidence monitors so the teacher can actually see the content themselves and also see the remote students. So it feels like a more engaging experience where I can see the real people in front of me, like here, and I can also see the remote students, and I don't have to turn my head to a different screen, right? It's that whole experience of the room. And we can help you design those rooms, right? With off-the-shelf components. Now, to make it work, you truly have to get your students, your colleagues engaged in that video experience. If only one of your colleagues uses video conferencing once in a while and no one else uses it, it's never going to take off. You really have to have that culture where everyone's on board, everyone wants to use it. And the only way to do that is to make it simple and reliable. If it works every single time and the quality is really good, everyone's going to start using it, right? So that's really where using a good tool is going to make a difference in that whole video experience. So how can Zoom help you? How can we help you achieve that nirvana of blended learning with remote students, students face-to-face, etc.? Well, one way to do it is really to look at the user experience both for individuals who are in front of their computer, Zoom meetings, and classrooms, which is what we call Zoom Room, and really looking at optimizing those 2 separate user experiences. And the idea is that you can connect to the whole world. So when you do a Zoom meeting, it could be obviously in the UK, which is great. But what about the rest of the world? You might have students in other parts of the world who might not have a great internet connection. Even in the UK, you might be, on a high-speed train in an area where you've got poor broadband. How would you work? So Zoom is really optimized for that super low broadband scenario, where some of your students might be on a really bad internet connection, on a train, working from home remotely, in the countryside, or in India, or in China, or in South America, where they don't have great internet connectivity, Zoom will work everywhere to really optimize that global user experience. And in fact, we've got a few really interesting case studies. Uber is one of our customers. We love Uber, right? Uber's cool. Love Uber. I take Uber every day. So Uber has 15,000 users of Zoom and 2,000 Zoom rooms. So these classrooms I talked about was that whole Zoom room experience. Other great experiences, customer references, are Kansas State University. They've got about 21,000 students, 5,000 faculty members, and 120 Zoom rooms. So these are all classrooms equipped with that equipment, so they can do those remote classes with video conferencing. And Stanford University, obviously very famous in the US and California, they've got 17,000 students, about 12,000 staff, and they're just starting to deploy Zoom rooms. They've got about 20 now, and this is going to grow to obviously a few thousand. So again, we're starting to see some really good case studies. Here in Europe, we've got one in Denmark called Nordinet. It's the education network of Denmark and Norway. We've got 1 million students and teachers, and all switching to Zoom. So really today, there's 1 million companies using Zoom. So it's really becoming a global standard. And this is just the beginning. We're just launched 5 years ago, in the UK 2 years ago. So this is going to grow exponentially, right? So if you want to see some case studies, talk to other customers of Zoom. There's many people in this room using Zoom, actually. Show of hands, who's using Zoom in this room? Wow, about half the room is using Zoom. That's quite amazing, right? Right here, so you guys are really at the cutting edge of collaboration technology. That's awesome. So share your experiences with the rest of the group. Now officially, according to enterprise customers, Zoom is globally one of the top 3 vendors in the whole world for video conferencing, together with Cisco and Microsoft. So effectively, we can really are at that level where Zoom is in the top 3 leaders in terms of usage, adoption, technology. But what really sets Zoom apart is that customer satisfaction. The people who have never used Zoom, I recommend you try it just to see the difference for yourself, or speak to their half of the room who've actually used it and ask them how happy they are. I hope you're all happy, right? So we really value customer satisfaction. I mean, if you we looked at the video at the beginning. Lots of people have had a really bad experience with video conferencing. So many people are really unhappy with their current video conferencing solution. So hopefully when they try Zoom, you really see a huge difference. And we want to encourage you to do that. So effectively, we want to help you deliver that great learning experience, both for remote students who are working from home, and of course for the classrooms, we've got people in front of you, and a blend of the two. So you can really have that best-in-class experience, both for in-person meeting and remote meetings. So I encourage all of you to try Zoom. You can just sign up for our free version on our website, zoom.us or zoom.com. And I'm here to answer all your questions. Thank you very much. So we've got about 5 minutes for Q&A. So if you've got any questions now, or obviously I'm going to be hanging around afterwards. So feel free to come and see me. Do you have any questions right now? No? All good? Excellent. Cool. Well, thanks very much and enjoy the rest of the day. I'll speak to you later.